We made it. 11 episodes, 3 phases, one full arc of whole person wellness, explored across the dimensions of your spiritual life, your physical well-being, and your relational world. If you have been here since the beginning, I want you to know, before we say another word, that what you have done matters. You showed up repeatedly for yourself. And in a world that asks you to show up for everything and everyone else first, that is one of the most radical acts of self-care there is. Today, we arrive at the final theme of Phase 3, Embody, and it is perhaps the most quietly profound of everything we have explored. Today, we talk about experiences, the ones we collect, the ones we keep postponing, the ones that, when we finally allow them, remind us what it means to be fully alive. I'm Mary Jane, and I am so glad we're here together for this. You are someone who is trying to live well, someone who senses that real wellness goes deeper than what you eat or how often you move, that it lives in the stories you carry, the emotions you navigate, the relationships you cultivate, and the body you have been living in all along. The Tending Hour is a podcast about what it means to tend to the whole of who you are across all 3 dimensions of your life: spiritual, physical, and relational. I'm Mary Jane, integrative health and wellness coach, National Board Certified Health and Wellness Coach, and founder of Trilateral Transformation. Each season, we explore a different territory of the whole person life. Each episode, we go there across all 3 dimensions, slowing down, looking honestly at what is happening beneath the surface, and practicing together the kind of care that a whole person deserves. No quick fixes, no performance, just real, honest, whole person tending. At trilateraltransformation.com, there is a companion workbook available for every season, a self-guided reflection space designed to help you process what each episode stirs, go deeper with the guided prompts, and carry the season's work into the texture of your actual life. Wherever you are starting, you are in the right place. And whatever you are carrying, there is room for it here. This is the Tending Hour, and you were made for this kind of tending. Welcome back to the Tending Hour. If you have been with me since the very beginning, since that first episode where I invited you to consider that you are not one thing, and your wellness was never meant to be either, I want you to know something before we say another word. What you have done over these 11 episodes is not small. You have sat with trust and rest and the language of your own emotional life. You have built the conditions for safety. You have examined the beliefs that were running the show. You have looked honestly at what integration actually feels like. You have opened into connection and moved your body with something approaching joy. You have shown up repeatedly for yourself, and that, in a world that constantly asks you to show up for everything and everyone else first, is one of the most radical acts of self-care there is. And if this is your first episode, welcome. You can absolutely begin here, but I want you to know that what we are closing today is a full arc, a complete journey through 3 phases and 11 conversations about what it means to be well, wholly, genuinely, sustainably well, in all 3 dimensions of who you are. Today, we arrive at the final theme of Phase 3, Embody, and it is perhaps the most quietly profound of everything we have explored. Today, we talk about experiences, the ones we collect, the ones we avoid, the ones we have been postponing until we are ready, the ones that, when we finally allow them, remind us in every cell of our bodies what it means to be fully alive. I want to begin with a question that I think is one of the most important questions a person can ask themselves. Not a productivity question, not a goal-setting question, not a question about what you are achieving or becoming or working toward. This question: am I actually living my life, or am I mostly managing it? Because there's a version of life that looks, from the outside, entirely functional. The responsibilities are met, the obligations are honored, the calendar is full, the lists get done, or at least attempted. And yet, somewhere beneath all of that movement and productivity and showing up, there is a quiet, persistent, almost embarrassing sense that the actual living is happening somewhere slightly ahead of you, that you will get to it soon, once things settle down, once you are more ready, once you have earned it. This is what I mean by managing a life rather than living one. Managing is surviving. It is keeping the structure standing. It is doing what is required and postponing what is desired. It is a life organized around obligation, with experiences, joy, aliveness, wonder, filed under later. Living, really living, is something different. It is the willingness to be present in the actual texture of your days, to collect moments intentionally rather than letting life happen to you while you are busy preparing for it, to allow experiences, small ones and large ones, to land fully, to matter genuinely, to leave a mark on who you are. Embodiment, the whole project of phase 3, is not just how you feel in your body or how you move or how you connect. It is about how fully you inhabit your life, whether you are actually in it, whether the experiences of your days, the ordinary ones and the extraordinary ones, are reaching you. And here's what I know to be true. All of the work of the last 11 episodes has been preparing you to be more available to your own life than you have ever been before. The trust you have been building, the rest you have been receiving, the emotions you have been learning to meet, the safety, the nourishment, the examined beliefs, the connections tended, the body moved with love. All of it has been clearing the channel, making more room, creating the conditions in which a real, full, experienced life can actually land. This is what we are here to receive today. Let's talk about what experiences actually do to our brains, our bodies, our sense of self, because the science here is genuinely extraordinary. The research on experiences and well-being has arrived at something that feels intuitively true, but is important to hear clearly. Experiences become part of who you are in a way that things never can. The places you have been, the moments that stopped you, the conversations that changed you, the ordinary Tuesday that became, for some reason, a memory you still carry, the extraordinary event that was everything you hoped it would be, the small, unremarkable experience that somehow contained something essential. These experiences are not decorative. They are imperative. They make you who you are. They are the substance of the self, the accumulated lived evidence of a life that was actually inhabited. And here is something that the neuroscience of memory confirms. The more present you are for an experience, the more fully it becomes yours. Experiences that are met with genuine attention, with the full, unhurried presence of a person who is actually there, are more deeply encoded, more vividly remembered, more lastingly meaningful than experiences that happen while you are somewhere else in your mind. Presence is not just a spiritual practice. It is the mechanism by which your experiences actually reach you. There is a practice called savoring, the deliberate, conscious act of attending to a positive experience as it is happening, not rushing through it, not photographing it rather than feeling it, not already moving on to the next thing while this one is still unfolding, just being in it, fully, letting it register in your body as well as your mind. Research shows that savoring amplifies the positive impact of experiences significantly, and that it is most accessible to people with regulated nervous systems and practiced self-awareness. In other words, the work you have done in phases 1 and 2 has not just prepared you to have better experiences, it has prepared you to actually receive them. Experiences, like every theme in the tending hour, live across all 3 dimensions. And in this final exploration, I want to show you what it looks like when all 3 are tended to together, when the whole of you is available to the whole of your life. Spiritual experiences are not reserved for mountaintops or moments of crisis or the inside of a place of worship. They are available in the ordinary, in the extraordinary ordinary of a life that is being paid attention to. The moment you stepped outside and the light was doing something inexplicable, and you stopped, really stopped, and let it reach you. The conversation that went somewhere neither of you expected and left you both changed. The piece of music that found the exact feeling you had no words for. The silence between words in a relationship that has deepened beyond the need to fill every space. These are spiritual experiences, not because they are mystical or religious, though they can be, but because they are moments of genuine contact between you and beauty, between you and another person, between you and the felt sense that your life, in this particular unrepeatable moment, means something. A spiritually alive life is not one filled with dramatic encounters with the sacred. It is one in which the ordinary is met with enough presence and enough openness that the sacred find its way in through the cracks of everyday life. The work you have done, the trust you have built, the inner life you have begun to tend, has made you more permeable to this, more available to wonder, more capable of being stopped by something beautiful and letting it actually matter. That is a spiritual experience, and it is available to you today in the life you are already living, if you are present enough to receive it. Your body is not just the vehicle through which you have experiences, it is the instrument through which you feel them. The taste of something genuinely nourishing, eaten slowly and with presence. The physical sensation of water, a bath, a swim, rain, landing on your skin that is paying attention. The particular quality of tiredness after a day that was full in the right ways. The felt sense of your own strength, or your own softness, or your own aliveness in a moment when you are not trying to be anything other than what you are. Physical experiences, sensory, embodied, happening in the body and through it, are among the most grounding and the most restorative available to us. And they are the ones most easily missed when we are living at a distance from our own physical selves. The person who has spent phase 1 learning to trust their body, phase 2 learning to nourish and examine it, and phase 3 learning to move it with love and connect through it, that person receives physical experiences differently, more fully, more gratefully, more completely. They notice the warmth of sunlight on their face and let it be a moment rather than a backdrop. They eat a meal that is exactly right for them and let that satisfaction register as genuine pleasure rather than moving immediately to what comes next. They feel their own heartbeat after movement and recognize it as the sound of a body that is alive and working and worthy of appreciation. The body as the site of experience, not just function, not just appearance, but felt, alive, sensory experience, is one of the most profound gifts of embodiment, and it is available to you in this body right now. The experiences that mark us most deeply, the ones we carry for decades, the ones that become the stories we tell about who we are almost always relational. Not the experiences that happen to us alone in isolation, but the ones that happened in the presence of another person, the shared adventures and the quiet evenings, the conversations that change the shape of something, the moments of genuine mutual recognition that said, "You are not alone in this. I see you. I am here." A life rich in relational experiences is not about the number of people in it or the frequency of social events attended. It is about the depth of presence brought to the connections that matter, the willingness to show up fully, not performed, not managed, not at half capacity because the other half is somewhere else, but genuinely, wholly present. That quality of presence in a relationship, in a shared experience, in an ordinary moment that becomes extraordinary because two people were actually in it together, is the fruit of everything this series has been building toward. You cannot be fully present in your relationships when you do not trust yourself. You cannot bring your whole self to a shared experience when you are managing your body rather than inhabiting it. You cannot receive the depth of connection available in genuine shared experience when your beliefs are telling you that you are too much or not enough or somehow disqualified from the fullness of life. But a person who is aligned, who has built trust, who has rested, who has learned to meet their own emotional life, that person shows up differently. A person who has integrated, who has created safety, who has nourished themselves on their own terms, who has released the beliefs that kept them at a distance from their own worth, that person is capable of a different quality of presence. And that person, the embodied, present, whole person you have been becoming, is the person who changes the quality of every shared experience they enter. The practice I want to offer you today, the final practice of this series, is one I call the experience intention. And it is, in its simplest form, a decision. A decision to stop postponing your own life. Here's how it works. I want you to think of 3 experiences, one for each dimension of trilateral transformation, that you have been deferring. Not the grand gestures, not the life-changing adventures that require perfect circumstances. The experiences that have been quietly waiting on the shelf of someday. The ones that keep appearing in your thoughts. A place you want to visit, a practice you want to begin, a conversation you keep meaning to have, a moment of beauty you keep meaning to create, a connection you keep meaning to deepen. For your spiritual life, what experience have you been meaning to give yourself that would genuinely nourish your inner world? A retreat, a practice, a piece of music listened to all the way through with no other agenda, a walk taken in complete silence, a question finally asked of someone whose wisdom you trust. For your physical well-being, what experience has your body been asking for that you have been postponing? Not a fitness goal, an experience. The swim in open water, the massage, the meal prepared with real care and eaten in real peace, the morning spent in bed past the time you thought you should be up, simply because your body needed it. For your relational world, what experience with another person or with a community have you been meaning to create? The phone call that has been on your mental list for months, the gathering you have been meaning to host, the adventure with a friend that keeps getting postponed, the honest conversation that has been waiting for the right moment, which will never arrive until you decide that this moment is right enough. Choose one from each dimension, write them down, and then, not someday, not when things settle, give yourself a date, even a tentative one, even a penciled in one, because the active intention of saying, this matters enough to be scheduled, this experience is worth protecting space for, is itself an act of profound self-regard. You are worth the experiences you keep meaning to have. Your life is worth inhabiting on purpose. Before I close today, before I say what I need to say at the end of something this meaningful, I want to walk back through where we have been together. We began with the simple, radical idea that you are not one thing, that your wellness was never meant to be one-dimensional, that something had been missing from every plan and program that addressed only part of you, and that the missing piece was the wholeness of you. In phase 1, Align, we built the foundation. We sat with trust, the quiet, courageous practice of learning to believe what your own body knows. We looked honestly at rest, not as a reward, but as a right, as a biological necessity, as the foundation that makes everything else possible. And we turned toward our emotional lives, not to manage them, but to meet them, to treat our feelings as the messengers they have always been. In phase 2, Integrate, we created the conditions for real change to take root. We built safety in the body, in the inner world, in the relational landscape. We reimagined nourishment, releasing the maps drawn for someone else's body and beginning to trust that our own bodies know the way. We excavated beliefs, naming the invisible architecture that had been quietly running the show and choosing one small, genuine thought at a time, something truer. And we witnessed integration, noticing the quiet, accumulating evidence that the work was working. In phase 3, Embody, we stepped outside. We discovered connection as the place where inner work becomes outer life. We reclaimed movement as celebration rather than correction. And today, here, now, we arrive at experiences, at the fully inhabited, intentionally collected, deeply present moments that make a life feel genuinely lived. That is trilateral transformation. Not a program with a finish line, a practice with a direction. Align, integrate, embody. See yourself clearly. Create the conditions for change to take root. Live it, wholly, presently, in all three dimensions of who you are. If what you have experienced across these 11 episodes has opened something in you, if you have felt the arc of this work and find yourself wanting to go deeper, slower, and further than a podcast season can hold, I want to tell you clearly what is available. The Trilateral Transformation Program is a 3-phase journey, each phase spanning 12 weeks of video lessons, lived practices, and a workbook designed to take everything we have been exploring and make it genuinely, durably, personally yours. Phase 1 Align is where we spend multiple weeks living inside trust, sleep, and emotional life, not just understanding them, inhabiting them, letting them change us at the roots. Phase 2 Integrate is where we spend multiple weeks inside safety, nourishment, and beliefs, not just examining them from a distance, living inside them from different angles at different depths until they become the new ground you stand on. Phase 3 Embody is where connection, movement, and experience become not things you do, but things you are, where the transformation stops being a project and starts being a life. This podcast has been a map of the territory. The program is the journey itself. And if you are ready to make that journey fully, intentionally, supported every step of the way, the door is in the show notes. I would be honored to walk it with you. I want to close today and close this season with something personal. I created Trilateral Transformation because I believe with everything I am that the way we have been taught to approach wellness is incomplete, that reducing the fullness of a human life to physical metrics and habit stacks and morning routines has left something essential unnamed and unattended. That something is the whole of you, your spiritual life, the inner world that knows things before your mind catches up, your physical well-being, the body that has been sending you signals patiently and persistently that it deserves to be listened to, your relational world, the connections that restore you, the community that holds you, the relationships that are, at their best, the place where your wholeness meets another's, and something extraordinary happens. They are the integrated, interconnected, beautifully complex wholeness of a human being. And you, all of you, not just the parts that are easy or acceptable or already healed, deserve to be tended. I want to say something to you that I have been building towards since the very first episode. The fact that you are here, that you listened, that you stayed, that you kept showing up for these conversations, even when they asked something of you, tells me something about who you are. It tells me you believe somewhere in the most honest part of yourself that you are worth the tending, that your life is worth inhabiting fully, that the whole of you, the complicated, layered, still becoming, never finished whole of you deserves care. I believe that too, completely, without qualification. The work continues, not because you are not enough as you are, but because you are alive and living things grow, and growing things need tending. This has been the Tending Hour, and it has been one of the great privileges of my work to spend this season with you. Until next season, tend to all of you.